Good evening. It is a pleasure to be here tonight to share my story. I am a member of the Coalition for Women Prisoners, coordinated by the Women in Prison Project at the Correctional Association of New York. We work to secure rights for domestic violence survivors who are prosecuted for engaging in acts for defending themselves from their abusers' violence. Okay? All right. In my day job, I'm a health navigator at Boom Health. Boom Health delivers prevention, advocacy, and wellness services to the hardest to reach communities in the Bronx. Boom Health, like the Correctional Association, is a grantor partner of the New York Women's Foundation. As a health navigator, I help people find doctors, home health aides, job training, and more. Whether I'm volunteering or working, I am giving back and helping people because I know how it feels like to need help and the help is not there. I grew up in an abusive household. I did what many young women do in my situation. I got in a relationship with an older man. I thought he was perfect. He was kind to me. He made me laugh. He was there when my mother kicked me out, which happened more than once. I became pregnant right at the beginning of our relationship. The first time he beat me, I was 4 months pregnant. It wasn't just the physical abuse. He controlled who I saw, what I ate, when I ate. He would lock me in the house, cut me off from everyone. Sometimes the beatings would land me in the emergency room. I used aliases and made up stories about how I was injured. I thought if I did everything right, then everything would get better. And he wouldn't have a reason to hit me. Our relationship lasted 8 years. Things didn't get better. The abuse continued right up until the moment I was arrested. On that day, I wanted to tell him that I was pregnant again, but he wouldn't listen. We argued and it escalated into a physical altercation. When the police came, he said he had been shot, and I was shocked. He had been beating me with the gun, and I never heard it go off, and I didn't know I shot him. At Rikers, I wasn't feeling well. When they finally took me to get medical attention, I was given Tylenol and sent back to my unit. I fell asleep and woke up soaked in blood. I had miscarried. During the arrests and the proceedings, my history of domestic violence was not considered. Even when advocates who work with DV survivor defendants spoke up for me. I ended up taking a plea for 13 years because I thought that was the best I could get. I was told by my lawyer, you already got 1 year in Rikers. You'll only do 7 altogether. Instead, I served 11 and a half years. While incarcerated, I focused on myself and on my children. I worked in the mess hall for 25 cents an hour and sent money home to pay for my mother to bring my children to visit me and for items my children needed. During that time and after, I took classes to get help. I armed myself with education and leadership training, including from the Correctional Association Leadership Development Program. I began to connect what I have lived through to policy and reform efforts to create better solutions. Today, I tell my story to elected officials to encourage them to pass the Domestic Violence Survivors Justice Act. The act would allow judges the discretion to sentence domestic abuse survivors convicted of offenses that occurred as a result of the violence to shorter sentences or to alternatives to incarceration. The connection between domestic violence and the pathway to prison is undeniable, and it is devastating. I believe my outcome would have been different if the bill had been passed. I had never envisioned that I would be an advocate. But my leadership training at the Correctional Association and my advocacy work with the Coalition for Women's Prisoners touched me. I met so many women who were victims of domestic violence when I was in prison. Making things better became a passion for me, and my children are proud that I used my experience to help others and inspire change. I know that we can make the Domestic Violence Survivors Justice Act a reality. I just want to thank the Correctional Association of New York for their good work and the New York Women's Foundation for supporting them. Thank you for listening to my story.